So hello everyone and welcome to our webinar today, presented in partnership by the Illinois Farmers Market Association and the University of Illinois Extension. My name is Lori George and I am a small farms local foods educator with University of Illinois Extension based in Mount Vernon, Illinois. We appreciate you joining us for the webinar and we'll do our best to begin and end within the time frame allotted. Questions for our speakers can be entered into the chat box and will be answered after the completion of the webinar. So it may have started with wanting to live a healthier lifestyle, but in less than 2 years, Big Miniature Farms in rural Mount Carroll, Illinois has grown from a small home garden into a USDA specialty grower and farm. Big Miniature Farms, owned by Cami and Travis Yenney, made their debut at the Mount Carroll Farmers Market in 2019 with their signature Horseradish Jam. Now in 2020, during a global pandemic, their farm is expanding into Mount Carroll's historic downtown with a USDA production kitchen. The Yenneys will be here to discuss the steps and challenges they encountered as they grew from a backyard garden to a new Main Street storefront. But first, I would like to introduce Jane Maxwell, Executive Director for the Illinois Farmers Market Association. Jane is very passionate about local food and farmers markets. She is a registered dietitian and works to promote the health and economic impact of local food and farmers markets. I'm happy to introduce her today for this presentation. Hi, Jane.
Hi, how are you doing?
Good.
All right, let's share screen. All right, just a little. Again, thank you to Lori and thank you to the University of Illinois Extension for their partnership with the Illinois Farmers Market Association in bringing these webinars to you. First, just before we start into the meat of the webinar, just a little bit about the Farmers Market Association. We certainly work within the farmers market space and support local food and food systems, trying to kind of focus on three things. One is education and best practices, making sure that farmers market managers and vendors have available to them some of the best information on how to manage and operate their farmers markets and related businesses. We also do a lot with advocacy, trying to break down the barriers to successful farmers market operations, and particularly during COVID-19, that's kind of taken on a new meaning as we've worked very closely with state level partners to ensure that farmers markets had the opportunity to open in 2020 and to operate successfully. So we work in education, we work in advocacy, and then of course we work in promoting farmers markets and letting everyone know the tremendous benefits that come from accessing farmers markets. The Farmers Market Association works closely with other organizations to magnify our work. We want to make sure that we're all on similar message and similar page. And so we've been fortunate to partner with Market Maker, which is a database that's available to the Illinois Farmers Market Association, and then in partnership with what we call the Connect Fresh Collaborative, with the Farm Bureau, with the Illinois Specialty Growers Association, and now Buy Fresh, Buy Local, Homegrown by Heroes, so that now there's a comprehensive database of the partners within the local food system that is available to access through the ILFMA website. If you don't have a profile within the Connect Fresh Collaborative, I highly encourage you to create one, especially during COVID-19. We've seen that there's just a tremendous increase in the number of searches that are being done by people looking for farmers markets or looking for specific kinds of vendors, or maybe vendors looking for places to sell their product, looking to see maybe which partners offer online platforms and services. So this has been a very important collaborative effort that we had before COVID, but it's important, has really been emphasized during COVID. Also in partnership with Market Maker, there is what we call the What's in Season app. And it takes the data from the Market Maker system and puts it into a handheld app for your phone. Unfortunately, this app is not available in the Apple or Android stores, but can be downloaded from the ilfma.org website. And it will give you the basic information about farmers markets, about what's in season, about producers and growers, and that's all done by zip code. So I highly encourage you to use it. It's another way to access that same information that is in the Connect Fresh system. We have partnered the Farmers Market Association with Buy Fresh, Buy Local. Again, going to ilfma.org and selecting, looking at the map and creating a profile. And then one of the other affiliations that you can select would be Buy Fresh, Buy Local. What we are able to do by each of the organizations that uses the Market Maker system is that we can search and have different characteristics of the profile show on our different web pages. And so you would select Buy Fresh, Buy Local, and they'll ask you some additional questions. And then your profile would be expanded to also be on the Buy Fresh, Buy Local page. We've also created a farmers market manager network through Facebook, and we highly encourage you, if you're not a part of that, to go ahead and be a part of that. It's a great place to ask questions. It's a great place to share resources and just information about operating farmers markets. We were fortunate, the Farmers Market Association, to receive a grant from Compure Financial, and that was to provide mini grants to offset some of the costs of operating a farmer's market during COVID-19. We still have a couple mini grants that we can offer, so that if you haven't applied, there is a link on the ilfma.org website under the resources that you could go ahead and apply. But the additional opportunity is for technical assistance. If you would like to talk with someone from ILFMA about operating your farmer's market during COVID-19, or maybe an indoor market during the winter season, we would be pleased to offer this to you. We have been working hard in 2020. We have worked to ensure that farmers markets at first were declared to be essential so that they could open. We have written a toolkit and guidance for market managers and vendors and even customers during COVID-19 at each phase of the Restore Illinois guidelines that have come out. We have just published the indoor market guidelines. Those are also on the toolkit page on the website. But we're really trying to get the message out, and maybe you can help us with this, that farmers markets, although we love them as that great community gathering space, I mean, they are just really essential as food access points, not just special events, but as food access, as a place to aggregate food, as a place for customers to access food. And so we are really trying to get that message out. We're trying to promote farmers markets and their benefits. We've done a few media campaigns, and if you're not familiar with them, I would encourage you go to the Illinois Farmers Market Association Facebook page, and you can see some of the information that we've been putting out about masks and the safety of food at farmers markets, or why shop at farmers markets, and then just promotional information like recipes, what to do with what's in season right now. This is the toolkit. There's lots of information there, and right now you'll find both the phase 4 and outdoor or just phase 4 guidance, and then indoor guidance for farmers markets. This is an example of some of the media campaigns that we put together to promote farmers markets, and we're pleased. I think this last count had been shared over 25,000 times, but we're trying to get the message out about the short supply chain of the food and the products that are found at farmers markets. But part of this too, we just want to remind people that there is actually a requirement that food at farmers markets be identified from its point of origin. Just having that nice big sign with the farm name is sufficient if all the products sold are from that particular farm. But if products are from multiple locations or have different points of origin, they need to be identified. Again, trying to make sure that we are showing the supply chain line for products available at farmers markets. And that's all I have. We would really encourage you, if you have not become a member of the Farmers Market Association, that we would ask you to consider joining the Farmers Market Association. I'll turn it back over to Lori.
Okay, thank you, Jane. Now it's my pleasure to introduce to you Cami and Travis Yenney from Big Miniature Farms. Welcome.
Hi, thank you. First of all, we want to thank the Illinois Farmers Market Association and the University of Illinois Extension for asking us to do this, and we're really excited to share our story. The first thing we wanted to share with you is a promotional video that my cousin actually put together for us.
It started with wanting to live a better and healthier lifestyle. And this dream turned into our garden. Our garden changed our life. We then thought we should share our dream. We discovered that others love what we're doing. So, we decided to expand. And now our goal is to continue to spread our dream.
Okay.
It all started when we decided that due to some health issues with our son, we decided maybe some clean eating was in order. We needed to clean up the way we were eating, the things that we were eating. And through some research, we started to find out, some of the negative things about the commercially produced food and, some of the shortcuts and the things that they did. So it started there, and we decided we had a little bit of space, so let's try to grow our own things. Growing up, we had a garden when I was a kid, and to me, there's nothing that tastes any better than something that, you've grown yourself and that comes out of the ground, and I know where it's been, and, we enjoy being a little more self-sufficient, so we decided to give it a try. It started out small. It was very difficult at first because we didn't know that much. Our recommendation is to, always look into your sources. We found so much information online through organizations like this, through, just Google what you have a question for. So we made sure that we studied, we paid attention, and we made improvements here and there. Due to some health issues myself, I became unemployed, and we decided that to make some money to pay for my medication, we decided to make some jam. I had a recipe for horseradish jam that I had made years ago. We had met some people here in town. My wife is very good at finding out information, and we met the right people, and we decided to give it a go at the farmers market. We took one product in, and it took off so well that people asked if we had any more. Fortunately for us, we had grown way more than we anticipated, and we had beautiful crops, and we needed to figure out what we were going to do with the rest of it. You know, we're not people that like to waste. We want to use everything that we can. So with the horseradish jam success, we decided to expand on that and kind of concentrate on specialty jams as opposed to some of your traditional jams. We thought we could find an area that no one else was really concentrating in. One of the things that we wanted to make sure we didn't do was create competition, you know, too much between the other local vendors. You know, it's for us, it's more about support and, you know, helping each other. And so we didn't want someone to have to choose, you know, between which strawberry jam they wanted to buy. And so that's kind of the direction that we went with that.
Once we started at the market, we, like Travis said, when we had the horseradish jam, you know, with all the extra jalapenos we had, and the response to that, people were asking, you know, what else do you have? You know, do you have any other flavors? So we expanded this year. We doubled what we originally had.
Almost tripled.
Almost tripled, yes. So when we decided that we were going to expand, we weren't really sure, you know, how to manage everything, because it is a lot of work. And so I contacted our local USDA office, and I started talking with Rachel Eisens there, I believe she's the farm manager. And she gave me so much useful information that you can find on the USDA website. And she was very excited about what we were doing, not only with our jams, but with all of the peppers that we were growing, the jalapenos for our jams, the rhubarbs, and then we also were getting into microgreens very slowly. This is our expansion that we did earlier this year, and we focus on vertical growing. Like my husband Travis says, with some health issues, you know, it's much easier to grow upward, you know, and pick than it is to have everything on the ground. And our whole operation is all family, is all family. We don't have any employees currently. It's just Travis and I, our son Brandon, our mother-in-law helps us. Linda, she helps us a lot in the plots.
If you're going to do something along this, you really have to. It's a time for you to call in favors. It's a time for you to, you know, depend on some help that's offered to you. I mean, you want to do it yourself, and you can do it all yourself. But I'm telling you, it's tough. So it's you get your ducks in a row and you utilize the resources you have around you. It's definitely within reach. We've experimented with different growing cycles and things with different ways as far as getting it up off the ground. They're a little easier to clean this way and to clean up around the bottom and to weed around. We do not spray. We're the people that are crawling around on our hands and knees, pulling the weeds out from under the plants because we want them to be as natural and as healthy as possible. Once we found out through the farmers market that there was a good demand and there was a need for, you know, some extra things, you know, at our local farmers market, you know, that helped in the expansion as well. So, you know, people really enjoy, you know, a good product and they will support you if you go out. I mean, if you go out and have a quality product and you know, do it the right way, everyone will absolutely support you. We've got nothing but support, and we have a list a mile long to thank. But one of the most influential people, I think, in our business has been Stephanie Samuels. She runs the farmers market here locally for us in Mont Carroll, and she's been a huge influence and help with, you know, just getting us in there, you know, telling us what the people need, telling us what they like, you know, and just her experience and her advice is golden to us. So we owe her quite a bit, and that touches back on don't be afraid to utilize the sources that you have right underneath your nose, because they're there.
Yes, absolutely. Ask questions. The University of Illinois Extension has a lot of really great information. I contacted them in the beginning also when we were establishing our farm. We live in town in city limits, but we have about 6 acres. So we had the space, and we were zoned residential ag, I believe. So that helped a little bit with working with the FD or the USDA on becoming a farm. So this picture here, we did a couple experiments with our corn plot. You can see half of it looks, or a quarter of it looks really great, and the other half not so much. Here we were working and like just trying different fertilizers, you know, to kind of see what would really help. And the corn that looks great is from grass, from mowing. We do keep the rows in between there just to keep it, you know, clean. We have space to walk through and space to work.
Yeah, don't be afraid to, when you experiment, you're going to lose some crops. I mean, you're going to find things that work better. We're already looking forward to next season because we have logged what we've learned this year, and we know what we need to do next year to make it better. You just keep good records and always pay attention to things. This here is a picture of the mascot of Big Miniature Farms. His name is Diesel. He is our extremely large Great Dane. He tops the scales at a healthy 200 pounds. And the name comes from, you know, we were joking one day, I'm a fan of oxymorons. I said that we have goats and chickens, and I said that our dog is bigger than our livestock. And we laughed and we laughed. And the name Big Miniature Farms came out, and we thought it was a funny joke. And 6 months later, that was the name of our new business when we went to the farmers market. And he represents the logo for sure. And he's likes nothing better than to sit out and watch us toil away in the garden while he lays in the sun and sleeps, and we crawl around on our hands and knees and pull weeds. He's a spoiled boy.
He is. So that's a view of our entire farm. There is corn plot in the lower right-hand corner is much larger than that, but looking out over that is what we currently have. We will expand a little more next year. We're just not quite sure how much we'll expand on this area. We're gonna have to see about that because when we started going to market and sharing our jams, we did attract some attention from restaurants that wanted to use our product on their meals and their dishes. So in order to do that, we had to expand. We couldn't commercially prepare it in our home kitchen, you know, because we're operating under the cottage law, and
yeah, when we're approached by so many, we knew that we were going to. It's hard to keep up in the small space that we have. You know, I do have some culinary background when I first got out of high school years ago, so I am very particular on how we do things, but we like to make sure we follow the rules. But the cottage law has taken us, you know, as far as we can go, as far as that part of it goes. I mean, when we need to have a bigger space, we need to be able to sell to, you know, potentially grocery stores or, you know, straight to restaurants and things like that. So, we still support the farmers market, and by all means, we'll do everything we can to stay there and to continue to go. But it's a step in the right direction. You know, without it, we wouldn't be where we are. Now, getting into the commercial side, we've learned quickly that you have to be able to adjust on the fly. Just like with the farming stuff, when things happen and you have to adjust, you know, we found a building that we thought would suit us perfectly. There's a main floor and then there's a basement. We thought we could use the basement as retail, so the plan was in effect. And then we found out that the basement didn't have sufficient exits to be coded for the public to be down there. So now we can't use it without digging a second entrance. So just on the fly, we've decided to grow and start all of our own seeds and plants, which we did anyway, but expand into the microgreens. And we really are going to educate ourselves and are expanding into growing year round indoors, you know, with lettuces and herbs and things like that that we can provide locally. You know, so be prepared to shift gears and think outside the box and do something else, because this definitely wasn't the plan for the basement of the building, but it's turned out to be another way to produce and another way to offer something that I think will be, you know, able to be utilized, especially locally. You know, there's a lot of people that, you know, really interested in stuff like that. And, you know, start locally. Don't think too big at first by any means. You know, we were just thinking farmers market, and now based on the success, we're fortunate and have the support where we can start thinking a little bit bigger. But it's been difficult to try not to think too big too fast, you know, especially when you get excited. And this stuff has definitely been exciting.
It has, and don't get discouraged at all. If something, you know, comes up, just kind of roll with it and say, okay, this is what we're doing now, and just, you know, try and talk with people and get different opinions, you know, on how you should move forward. But a lot of our customers, you know, towards the end of the season last year, you know, were buying 4 or 5 jars at a time because they knew we weren't going to be around in the winter time. And this summer, when we were finally able to open up our market due to COVID, you know, we had a customer that came from an hour and a half away and purchased an entire flat of our jams. So absolutely do not get discouraged. That was another one of our reasons about wanting to have a building, not only to have a commercial kitchen where we could process it and not be in our home, but to also have a place that could be open where people could come year round, you know, even in the winter time, and purchase our products. When we did decide to expand, like we looked at a house, you know, seeing if there was, you know, we could turn you know, that kitchen into a commercial kitchen and then rent out part of it. You know, there were so many different things that we were trying to come up with. We thought about, you know, putting up a steel building on our land, you know, and having a commercial kitchen there. And then I was looking around, I believe it was on realtor.com or one of those sites, and I saw that there was the old laundromat in Mount Carroll was for sale. And I thought to myself, well, if it's a laundromat, it's got really big water pipes on one side, and it should have really big gas lines on the other side. So we went and looked at it. And it also, the building has 3 apartments in it also. So like, we were not looking to be landlords at all. We were just looking for a place for our commercial kitchen. But, you know, don't get discouraged if if a building were to come with something extra, because it really was a blessing in disguise, you know, especially with COVID and not being able to open as soon as we wanted. At least we had that rental income there that we were able to, you know, put some of that back into the building. So this is Travis and I on the day that we closed on our building, which was April 30th of this year. We're so very excited. We have, I think the first thing I did was take the lattice out of the window and that door right behind Travis there is the door that will go into the commercial kitchen. The door to the left, that was a hallway that goes back into another room. However, that is going to be the door that our customers go through for to purchase jams or to pick up orders. Because what we did was we worked with the USDA and we were able to get a loan through them for all of our commercial kitchen equipment. and also for our operating inventory, a food inventory and stuff like that. So that can't be open to the public. So what we did was we cut a hole in the wall, and we, on the outside of it, it's going to look like a little farm stand. But then when you look through the carryout window, I'll show you a little bit later, then it looks into the kitchen. This is what the kitchen looked like when we purchased the building. And this is what it looks like now. So
this was all done thanks to the USDA and their partnership, and they helped us get off the ground and get funded. So
yes, it was. Yes, they helped a lot. They provided a lot of guidance, and like Travis said, the loan for the commercial equipment. And another thing too, all of the work that was done in our building, well, laying tile, drywall, paint, all of that is done, by us and my dad. Will, he came and he is laid off of work due to COVID. And he came down and he helped us with all of this. So, I mean, we
utilize your resources.
Yes, utilize your resources 100%, because we have said thank you, I don't know how many times, because it would not look like this if it was just us. But with COVID, there were some more issues, because like for the appraisal, the appraiser didn't want to go inside. So we had to go in, with masks on and take pictures of everything. And with having 3 renters there also, that put in another level of stress, and also, more things to think about.
Yeah, the COVID definitely has, and actually, I believe the direction that we went, the COVID hasn't affected us as much as your typical restaurant would. I mean, because we're not open to the public, we're not serving people. We are set up to, currently we're set up to serve people via carry out and through that window. So, most of the restaurants during shutdowns and whatnot have tried to switch to carry out. I think us being set up from the get-go to do that is beneficial for us. To be honest, some of the things that we took advantage of were the fact that rates for some of the loans had dropped,
Yes,
pretty low. So that was
because of
COVID. So that was an opportunity. The timing was right, for us. It was an opportunity to take advantage of that. And we by no means, be advantageous, at someone else's, discouragement. But when something along the lines, just take advantage of it, you kind of have to. So, but it helped us out, and I think that with the counter service and with the COVID, we don't have to adjust as much, because we're producing product more than we're like serving a kind of food. So the direction that we went is not typical of what you would do with a kitchen and open. People think restaurant, but think a little bit broader in different ways that you can do things where we're not completely dependent on people walking in our door and sitting down and having a meal. We're not affected in that way, but we can serve many things that we produce from the farm, which was the main goal, is to be able to provide. And this is the way to do that in a bigger facility.
Yes, and because of COVID, I was working remotely from March to September. So I usually have a 3-hour commute to work and back every day. So to be able to take that 3 hours and, instead of being home at 6, I'm off work at 4:30, I can go right over to the building and start laying tile. Or, for example, in this picture,
you have to be willing to do the work.
Yes, it was a lot of work. It still is a lot of work, but the main thing to remember is that it's worth it, and there are people that are absolutely willing to help you. One of the things that I really liked about being downtown in Mount Carroll is you're part of the community and the business district, which not only, you're able to network with all the other business owners, but that also put us in a position because we're in the TIF district. So because we're in the TIF district, we worked with the city of Mount Carroll, and they came up with a TIF agreement. I believe that our TIF agreement is, we're going to put $191,000 into our building by the end of next year, which includes the purchase price. So, I mean, you can include a lot of stuff, but then they pay you back a percentage of that over a certain amount of time. So, even if you sign a TIF agreement and they give you $1,800 a year, for 25 or 30 years or whatever you decide on, that, that can help pay for your real estate taxes, things like that. Another thing, new equipment. Another thing to keep in mind is purchase used equipment. All of our equipment is used. This mixer that you see here and this stove, we paid less than $2,000 for both of them together.
Yeah, if you're willing to, granted, would I like a big, shiny, beautiful, brand new stove? Absolutely. But this one right here was a great price and it's a great fit for what we need. Be willing to look around, be willing to, sacrifice a little bit. Maybe it's not as shiny, but functioning is better than cosmetic any day. So we saved a ton of money by doing our legwork and doing our research and searching high and low and making trips, hours away, to buy things, and then finding out that you have to take doors out to get them through, and so be prepared.
Or that you're going to need a backhoe to bring in your kitchen equipment.
Use your resources.
Yes, resources. Another great resource that we have is Northwest Illinois Economic Development. They're really great also. So just look for economic development groups in your town or your area, because there are so many resources out there in organizations that really want to help you. I know when we purchased our building, the Mount Carroll Chamber, they're very responsive and they're very excited about us opening up, and they want to do a ribbon cutting. Aldermen from the city have stopped by to check on our progress and see what we're doing, and everyone's just really excited. So it's been a really great experience. It's been very difficult, but I keep looking back on it, and I'm not sad that we did it. I'm so excited for our future. So here's the counter service on the left side that I was telling you about. They go through that door, and this isn't finished just yet, but should be in the next couple weeks. That's our counter area. My husband burnt and stained the wood, and we're going to make that look like a little farm stand. So when people come in, they can pick up jams, or they'll be able to order cheesecakes. And once we're open and functioning, the plan is to also provide, farm to table meals, really good, just really good, fresh food to the community. The picture on the right, that's an oven that we acquired from a business that was closing. And the Pepsi cooler, I think, was that free?
Yep, use your resources.
It was someone just wanted it out of their garage, and it works. It works great.
It works great. If you're willing to do a little labor and go get something. The story behind the oven, doors had to come completely out of buildings to get that where it needed to go. But again, we never want to benefit from someone else's misfortune. But with the COVID things, and unfortunately restaurants and businesses are closing, there are used deals available that are really good for new startups. Fortunately for us, we're starting up in this time, and we're able to find a lot of pieces available that we had to choose from. Some of them are good, some of them are bad. Like anything, do your research. But again, look through those used ads, and there's good stuff out there for sure.
So our goal is to continue to spread our dream. This is a beautiful picture that I took on the front of our building, the front steps. And I remember taking this picture and thinking, I am so excited about what we're doing. And we're not even open yet. And I really can't wait to be open and fully functional and see where this takes us. But we have so many people that have helped us get here. It's been truly amazing.
And the definite reward is when we get to be one-on-one with people. That's another thing that has helped us with our success, is you have to be willing to put yourself out there and talk to people and strike up conversations, and be open-minded and learn about other people and what they like and what they have and what they do. We've met sources through our very own farmers market that we've been able to source things from, people that we've met to kind of help, and it's a network of helping each other. They're helping us, we're helping them, and it works really well. So you really need to understand that the pure joy that comes from giving someone some of your product, and the look on their face when they can't believe how good it is or how fresh it tastes, or the difference in something that they've had before compared to what you're giving them. That right there is, to me, is most of the reward, when I can have someone run up to me and that I don't even know, that's had some of our product and from someone else, and talk to me about it and be excited to talk to me about it. And we did that. We created that for them. So that has to be, it can't be all about business. You have to have that drive to really enjoy, pleasing people and providing things for them. And that's where we get a lot of joy from, is the final product. Every time we offer something new, we just want people to try it. I just want to know what you think, and having that kind of feedback and being able to do that, and having a test market at your local farmers market to see if people even like what you have, that is an invaluable asset that I don't think anybody really realizes how much of an asset it is until they actually start doing it and they see the results that they can get just from setting up a tent and talking to your local people and hanging out with your local vendors. And they're all they're great people. They want the same things as you, and most of everyone we've run into has been team players, and they all want the same thing. I like to be able to say, oh, I'm sorry, I don't have any strawberry jam, but the fella a couple tents down, he's got some great strawberry jam. We support people, as much as we can, to try to give back to people that have supported us.
And that is our story. We'd love to answer any questions that anyone has.
Okay, thank you both. That was really good information. I'm impressed by what you have done so far with between 2019 and now. You've really grown, and you've really become a major factor in the local food community. So congratulations and kudos to you both.
Thank you.
I do have a question in here from my participant. It says, have you partnered, or would you consider partnering with other farmers to sell some of their products through your storefront?
Absolutely. A good example of this is we have a friend of ours. His name is Bill, and Bill is autistic, but Bill enjoys making wood products. And I bought a birdhouse off of the internet from Bill because it was so cool. And we, in the meantime, have partnered with Bill, where we help him out because we will take his products with us to the farmers market. And sometimes he joins us, and we'll help him, sell his wood products, and he makes all kinds of stuff. So We have another friend who has some, we try to move some bittersweet, for him. And we're definitely all about the partnership. So we would answer that as a short answer is yes. We would absolutely partner with anyone that, as long as it's a good situation,
Yeah.
if it's good for everyone and it helps everyone, that's the main thing for us.
For example, one of the vendors at the farmers market had a bunch of tomatoes that she couldn't sell because, they have spots on them, or they just don't look good to sell at market.
But there's nothing wrong with
Yeah,
them.
there's nothing wrong with them. She just couldn't move them. So we bought them.
Yeah, we got a discounted price from the market price because they're considered blemished, I guess. Because what we were going to do with them is for that very reason, we decided that for less waste, we would go with tomato juice and sell it in the juice form. So that partnership works great because it helps her sell something that she would be stuck with, and there's less waste, and it's great for us because we get a discounted price on something that doesn't have to be pretty.
Yep.
So what would be the best way to contact you?
You can contact us on Facebook, Big Miniature Farms. You can send us a message or email us at bigminiaturefarms@yahoo.com.
Okay, great. Another question's come into the chat box is, how do you store your harvest until you're able to make the products from them? And then a second part is, how will you transport your produce from the farm to your new space?
Well, the first part of the question, we try to do, when we make the jams, we try to do everything as fresh as possible. I enjoy being able to walk outside and pick what I need and take it right in and wash it and turn it into a product right away. However, obviously in the wintertime, we can't do that. One of the reasons we expanded was because we ran out of so many things in the wintertime. So the idea was to be able to stockpile most of the fresh stuff that we're doing for the jams. We vacuum seal and freeze. And I don't, for example, if I do jalapenos, I will process the jalapenos to a certain extent and not freeze them whole. I'll clean them and do what I'm going to do with them for the jam, and then I'll freeze them that way. I've found that most everything we have freezes really well. A couple of problems with that is sometimes there might be a little excess water when you thaw it back out. You may just have to strain that off a little bit. But we do 90% of what we do for storing, so we have product for the jams and stuff is done through freezing. The juices and things like that, we can all, and salsas, we can all that stuff.
And when it comes to transporting from the farm to the kitchen, our farm is a block and a half away from our building. So we live very, very close. So it's not too difficult. We have in mind that we would, pick, and then we have a bunch of bushel baskets that my aunt brought down, my aunt and uncle did, and use a lot of that and then process everything here. So it's relatively, it's very, very close. So.
And actually the town here has an ordinance where you're allowed to use like golf carts and side-by-sides, if you're tagged and permitted properly. So it's an option for the farm too, to have a vehicle like that where, can run over, and because it's so close, run over and just pick up, a couple of crates of this or some bushel baskets of that and bring it over and then process it in the kitchen from there.
Okay, great. I do have a question on this. So you started working with your commercial kitchen, and you worked a lot with USDA and all those resources that you have. How did public health, or did you contact public health during your planning process, and how were they beneficial?
Yes. So we contacted public health department in Carroll County where we live. They kind of walked us through, what are the requirements would be for the commercial kitchen. We had to have the 3-base sink, a prep sink, a mop sink, and also the bathroom.
Hand washing sink.
Yeah, the hand washing sink. It was a little difficult because when you say, when they ask you what kind of business you are, well, it's a production kitchen, and we have a farm. We're working with the USDA. Well, so, they want you to ask the USDA, do they have any specifics? So that was a little bit of a gray area, but working by asking questions from public health, regarding the inspection of the kitchen, working with the state plumber, because you have to have a license. The state plumber comes in to make sure that all your pipes and everything is vented like it's supposed to be. So they were very beneficial in letting you know what you needed. Or they will give you contacts, that will answer your questions. For example, we're not going to have any deep fryers here. So we were unsure if we needed to have, a full Ansel system, with the water and everything. But we just have to contact our local fire department and have the fire chief come through and explain to him what we're doing. And then he'll let us know what type of ventilation they would require us to have, or if they just want us to have a hood, since 90% of everything is just like canning.
Yeah, for us, small town locally, usually your fire department, your chief or whatnot will also double as your fire inspector in your town, at least in the smaller towns. So, that's a resource that you can look into as well if you have questions about, your kitchen and those requirements. Look for your local fire department.
Okay. I do have one other concerning your kitchen. I know that there are a lot of small specialty growers out there that are looking to focus in on selling their products outside of the farmers market arenas. So having a commercial kitchen available, are you planning at some time to rent it out to others to use, or is this something that's maybe 5 years down the line, or maybe not?
We absolutely want to treat this as like an incubator. We've already started to try to think about, other things to use it for aside from what we're doing for the farm. So one of those things was to rent it out, because we were actually looking for that very thing when we started at the farmers market. Before we learned about the cottage law, we were looking for a commercial space to make the jam so we could sell it. And that's where educating yourself comes in, because we could have eliminated that whole step if we'd have, we learned that through the cottage law, there were some other avenues. So we definitely want to look into renting it. Obviously our business comes first, and we want to make sure that we can, be sufficient for ourselves, but I can't imagine there isn't some time in there for rental. We had an organization contact us about the possibilities of making food for a fundraiser that they could sell commercially through the kitchen. So it definitely are going to do that. We've also talked about maybe doing some, fun class type things or some educating in the kitchen as well. So we're trying to think of other ways to utilize it, and rental for other people is absolutely on the list.
Okay. All right, thank you. I don't have any other questions in the chat box, but I do know that you have definitely utilized your resources to a good extent. And so I think that's a great tip for anybody that's really starting out in this type of an arena, to be able to have those resources available. It's a lot of work if you don't have it. So trying to reach out to them and talk with them. Do you have any other final comments that you want to do before we close out?
Yeah, I just thought of one thing. When it comes to, filling out paperwork for your farm, or getting your commercial kitchen up and running, do not be discouraged or overwhelmed at the amount of paperwork. If you have no idea how to put a balance sheet together, if you have no idea how to calculate your assets, do not let that discourage you, because they will help you. They will walk you through everything. Even if it takes you, 2 weeks, just say, I'm going to fill out, a couple forms a night, for a week or something like that. Just don't get discouraged and stay with it, because it'll happen.
Okay, great information for everybody. So I look forward, you have a lot of really good information. I look forward to visiting with you guys again, probably in another year or so, to see how much you've progressed. I hope that will be okay with you guys.
Absolutely.
But what I'd like to do is to thank the Yenneys from Big Miniature Farms in Mount Carroll, Illinois, for the great presentation as they shared their experiences and their expertise. And I'd also like to thank everyone for joining us for this webinar. I hope you got some information that will help you in your small farm endeavors. Hopefully even something that you can put in place this fall or maybe this winter for the 2021 growing season. On behalf of the Illinois Farmers Market Association and University of Illinois Extension, I wish you a fabulous rest of the day. Thank you, Yenneys, for joining us today.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much.